Welcome back to the Recovery Channel. I'm Brian Ariel, Treatment Director of the Outpatient Recovery Program with Applied Care Services. So we're going to do part 2 of our formation of addiction. In the previous video, we talked a little bit about the brain, and now we're going to talk about physical, environmental kind of factors that get us to want to take that substance. So if we talk about physical things, we can talk about the things that happen within the body. So much like other diseases that form in the body, addiction is pretty much the same. They're acquired over a period of time. And I've done a video on this. And not to beat that, but really, we don't have stigma and shame with people that have heart disease or cancer or asthma or diabetes. There is some out there, but it's not as widespread as it is with those that are suffering with addiction. And addiction is an acquired disease. Once you got it, you got it. There's no getting rid of it. It can go into remission, much like other things, if it's managed well. But how do we get that thing? How does the physical part, entertain that taking of substances? Well, in my case, and I'll share a personal story, the reason why I got hooked on to pain pills is because I had a back injury. So that's a physical, right? So when I was in the military, I blew 2 discs out of my lower back. And in doing that, the pain protocols were to give us Percocet or Flexeril or something else like that to mitigate the pain, and we did physical therapy and all that other stuff. Instead, I got all that plus, hey, you know what? You just need to take more. So take, 2 Percocet every 4 to 6 hours and whatnot. And that was just enough so I could function, but I couldn't sleep. So if 2 is good, then 3 would be better. And if 3 are good, well, 4 is definitely going to work. And if 4 work, but then I run out, but maybe 2 and 2 shots of Jack Daniels together might work even better. And that's how the physical part got me, right? So two Percocets and 2 shots of Jack Daniels, I was functional. I didn't have any pain. Everything was good, right? Well, eventually that all falls apart, doesn't it? You can't keep on doing that. So that's one aspect of physical. Say we're dealing with physical pain or something like that, and in order to cope with that physical pain, we become our own doctor basically and our own prescriber, and we do that. Why? Because maybe people aren't listening to us. Maybe we're saying our pain is so intense and it's really, I can't sleep. I can't do things that I used to do, and whatever protocols that you're doing is not working for me. I don't feel like you're listening to me. And I get a little fired up about this because I think sometimes we just throw pills at people and say, here, this should take care of it. And it's no wonder why pharmaceutical companies, especially the ones that created Oxycontin and Percocet and all those other ones, have been sued because they were pushing it. Enough about that. So also with physical, when we say physical within our body, we can talk about our mental health too. So there's factors within ourselves, in our mind, with our mental health that can influence us taking a substance. Such as like maybe we're super depressed. Maybe we have depression and anxiety to the point where it's really hard to function during the day. And we find like, hey, you know what? If I have a couple drinks, I'm no longer depressed. In fact, I feel pretty good. And my anxiety goes away and I'm pretty good. I can deal with this. And that becomes a management strategy. It could even be like I'm depressed and I'm anxious and I'll have a couple drinks and smoke some weed. That's really good. Or maybe even the doctor says, here's some Xanax or some anti-anxiety medication. Why don't you take that? And again, kind of the thing is like, well, 1 works good, then 1's not working, then, well, if 1 is good, then 2 are better. And if 2 are good, then 3 are better. And maybe I need to add something to enhance this. And so we're getting away from our symptoms. We're getting relief from our mental health symptoms in that way to where we're seeking substances to do that, but not actually addressing the core internal things that are going on with us that might be causing our depression or anxiety. I even think too, I've worked with a lot of people on the serious and persistent mental illness scale with addiction. And a lot of them will use substances to get away from hallucinations, whether it be visual, auditory, or tactile, we say, and they just want relief from the constant grind and drain of coping with whatever's going on with them. Whether they have like psychotic features or not, they just need relief. And again, they're working with a doctor or somebody else, and they're saying, well, these medications are the only ones that you can take. And you try to advocate for yourself. I'm not saying all, but most people advocate, and some psychiatrists will say, no, that's what I prescribe and that's what you get. When there's a whole range of class of drugs out there, I mean, like, that would help, that could help, but you're advocating for yourself, but it's not being received. I'm not blaming addiction on all those things, but these are factors, right? And so, they might seek alcohol or weed or meth or coke or whatever substance that they find is the thing, is the key, is the answer to the issue. Wow, I got relief. I mean, if you think about, like, if you go outside, you're working outside and it's super hot and humid and just gross, and you feel gross and sticky, and you're just like, man, I just can't wait to get out of this. Well, we can choose to go inside and cool off and then stay out of the heat. But when you're dealing with these constant issues like pain or mental health issues, there is no going inside and getting away from the oppressive things that are happening. So what do? We seek comfort and relief where we can. And for those of us that struggle with mental health and physical problems, substances is that shade tree, right? It's that cool drink of water. We finally feel like, oh my God, I can breathe. I can get away from this for a little while. I don't have to be under this constant stress and strain. And even though it may only, your high or your relief might only last for maybe a couple hours to a couple minutes, it's enough. And so we found the answer, right? And we found relief. And if we think back to the brain, our brain is going, wow, this was really good. We feel great. We feel great. The best we've ever felt. You got to keep on doing this. So when we talk about physical, mental, are factors that get us to use because of relief of pain, discomfort, or we want to alter our reality or perception because we don't like what we're experiencing. It affects the brain. So that's what gets the brain kicked in to say, hey, we have never felt this good. Whatever that was, you need to do it again. You need to keep on doing it because we feel amazing. And that's kind of how we get started with that. And, it's unfortunate that we don't have an all-encompassing mental health care plan that actually listens to people and will work with them, right? Because a lot of times some people are stuck in their ways, and not only the client, but also maybe the professional. And they see only one way to do things, but there's multiple ways. There's holistic, there's medication, there's therapy, there's a lot of different, like, magnetic cranial stimulation. There's a whole mess of things that we could do. We could improve our diet. We could do a lot of things. We could look at it as a whole person kind of thing, and not just, well, here's a symptom, I'm going to give you a drug and that'll get rid of the symptom, but what's bringing upon those symptoms, which is then the reason why we're seeking a substance in order to solve our problem. But then it goes into the brain, and the brain says, this is amazing, we should do this all the time. And there we go, right? We've started this formation of addiction. And it's a never-ending cycle that will just keep on going. So that's what we have with the physical part. So now we get into environmental. So environmental is one of those things that I think we're probably going to cover in the next video, because there's a lot to environmental. So I hope that you found this helpful and understandable of how physical, and we talking physical, like our body and our mind can get us into taking that substance, which then influences the brain, which is then starting this cycle of addiction. Please like and subscribe and comment down below. I love to read your comments. This is Brian Area with the Outpatient Recovery Program with Applied Care Services. Have a good one.